And just notice how they feel underneath you. Just notice that as we start to move more, we're going to come into your body a little bit more, so get your brain connected. So make sure the knees are soft, your glutes are relaxed, and then just let those arms just hang. Now think of pushing the crown of your head up to the ceiling and pushing the soles of your feet down to the floor. And feel that sort of push me, pull you bit through your centre. You've got that lovely pull either way. And take some awareness to your breath. So let's just think about breathing with the ribs in and out to the side. So breathing in and breathing out. So not necessarily breathing deeper, but breathing a bit fuller, a bit wider. Try not to pump your tummy up and down as you breathe. And just think about your posture a little bit. So now I've come into my breath a little bit and I'm standing. I can feel my head feels a little far forward. So just see how you feel, how your head carriage feels. So I feel I'm a little bit not quite awake yet. So I'm going to pull my head diagonally up and back a little. So it's now really over my shoulders and it feels lighter. So as I breathe now, I can begin to feel that my head has less weight. So you notice that? So if you let your head tip forward again and draw and breathe, and then draw it back, it'll feel much lighter when it's over your shoulders. So let's take a little bit of awareness to those feet. So bringing one foot in front of the other. Now I'm going to put my hands on the side of my pelvis to keep it nice and level. And I'm going to come up onto the toes on the back. So it's almost as though I'm about to walk off. I'm going to keep my pelvis nice and level and I'm going to place that heel down, lifting the front toes up. So you've been practicing this quite a lot. So both legs are straight and you're not bending your knees. You're articulating through your foot. Yeah? So think foot, toes, ankle. And you might notice, because you've got your hands on your pelvis, if it's wiggling side to side. So if at the moment we don't want it to, we want to think of the pelvis being straight and you're moving those toes, the ankles. So you can feel it, especially sort of as you come forward and backwards, you're lengthening the calf in the back leg to bring that leg down. Let's bring those feet together. Just notice how they feel. So the foot that's at the back now, I can feel it feels bigger on the floor than the other one. So let's swap them over. Hands on the hips, it might feel different, so be aware. And let's push forwards, flexing those toes, and then pressing back, lift the toes on the front. So you can feel as you go back, you're lengthening the calf to get your heel to the floor as you drop back. Think of lengthening the back of the leg to drop down, lift up. Get your breath flow. Head nice and lengthened. Notice again if you're wiggling side to side. And a good way to stop that is to think of lifting your upper body up higher as you move. So if you're slouched down, your hips will go side to side. If you stay taller, you've got more space in your pelvis and your hip joints to move. Good job. So bring those feet together. Just notice now that hopefully your feet feel a little bit bigger onto the mat. So I'm going to step my feet wide. Now I'm going to use my mat as my guidance system. So I've got my heels touching the mat either side and my toes are either side pointing away. Got the head nice and tall. Now I'm going to draw my tummy in towards my back a little bit. Hands on the pelvis. I've got my ring finger is in that hip crease at the front. So we're going to breathe in. Now I'm not going to move my knees. I'm going to move my butt to sit down. And then I'm going to exhale, pushing the bum up and forward all the way up. Yeah? So I'm not going here. Knees stay still. Bum goes backwards, you lean forwards a little bit, and then pushing into my lower back a little, so that we don't end up in this really arched back. And you might find it's really tiny, so watch the knees and sit your bum back. Go sit it, stick it out and sit it back a little bit. So you're trying to almost think of the shins staying nice and still. Now notice, have a little look down at your feet as you go. Notice that your knees, when they bend, when you start to sit, then they bend a little. They go wider. Does that make sense? If I go this way, see my legs. They're in that lovely triangle shape there. As I bend, the knees go out a little bit, so I'm nice and stable. Yeah, so make sure you're not here. Toes out, bum back. Breathing in down. So don't just flex at the hips, that's it. Yes, good. So you don't really fold forward, you sit back. Have you got the same amount of weight level on both feet? Yeah, so this is a really nice one. So if you get sore knees, you can probably feel that this is not knees, this is hamstrings. This is hamstrings and bottom. If you were to lunge here, I'm not going to go too far because my knees hurt today. That hurts my knees. That doesn't, that works you back. So you've got that lovely little extra little bit. Can we feel a bit of work in those legs? So come all the way up this time. And then we're going to transition. I'm going to keep my right leg there. I'm going to step the left leg behind. And I'm looking, look down at my feet. So I'm tipping forward a little bit. So I can see both my feet are nice and parallel. The back heel's up, only a little bit. And I'm going to bend the back knee more than the front knee. And then straighten it again. So you're going to go down a little bit. And up a little bit. Does that make sense? So I'm tipping forwards. And this leg, if I turn around, my leg with the white stripe is doing more work here than the front one. So again, it's not knee, it's hip. All the weight's on the front leg. And you're going in and out. And you might feel your buttock on that front leg as well. It's always good. We're sticking that bum out. We're going to get into it quickly so that you don't. So you just tip forwards. And you can always just do one leg. That's when you know you're in the right place. Yeah? So you're bending, flexing in. Are you breathing? Stay low, don't straighten those legs. And then push into both legs to straighten up. Can you feel that standing leg? And turn around. So you've got the other leg in front. So let's bend that front knee a little bit, tip forwards. Weight mainly into the front. You're going to bend, straighten. Bend, straighten. So you've got that scoop up of the tummy still. And the back leg's moving a lot more than the front one. Yeah? You're coming down as you bend, up a little to straighten. But you don't straighten it entirely. The lower you can go, the more work you're going to feel. Don't give up, it's going to hurt. Tip forward a bit more, Carol. And Amanda. That's it. So you can feel your bum is just underneath you. And again, you can try a couple where you just bend and straighten. It's going to hurt, don't give up. It's where the change happens. And then step those feet together and step all the way up, stepping into those feet. And now can you feel how strong the legs are into the mat underneath you, the floor underneath you. So let's think about the upper body now. So can you release those glutes? Yes, really easily. Put a bit of work in and then they'll relax. Let's come tummy into our forward fold. So put the fingers into the hip crease at the front. I'm going to take my bum backwards in space as I fold forward. So I'm scooping my tummy up, but I'm looking forward. Breastbone forward, flat back, and come all the way back up. Don't bend your knees. So switch off your glutes and your bum now. Tummy. Look forward, go as far as you can. Feel that lower back stretch. Feel the hamstrings and lift up. Now as you lift back up, push up from your tummy. Don't pull up from your bum. Pull your tummy up and keep your bum switched off. So we want the bum and the hamstrings off in this exercise, so we stretch them. Notice how it feels. And keep that chest lifted up and forwards. You might even get a nice stretch through that upper back. It's a bit tight, might need a bit of waking up. Now let's stay forward here. Keep those legs straight. Drop your arms. And we're going to roll. Head, neck, shoulders. Ready? Head, neck, shoulders, tummy scooping. Keep it in the same place. Rolling all the way down. A little bit more towards the floor if you wish. Keep those legs straight. And exhale, push the floor away, roll all the way up. Breath in at the top. And breathing out, rolling all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Head released at the bottom. Exhale all the way up. So keeping those legs straight. So they might be tight. You might feel you don't roll as far. Doesn't matter. You're moving into your body. It's early morning. Can we release the head under with gravity? Let that upper back be opened. We're going to do 2 more after this one. And hopefully noticing you're beginning to feel a little more mobile. Find your breath, let it match. And the last one. So hanging down at the bottom of this one, really let those arms go. So can you release your arms and your shoulder blades? Keep that tummy scooping up. Can you release and relax your head? So maybe can you give it a little bit of a gentle wobble and let the neck muscles of the neck relax. And then from here, you're going to bend your knees carefully. We're going to come down to all fours. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And let's take some lovely little cats. So just thinking of moving through your lumbar spine. Waking up, opening up. And think of a length. Lengthening. Top to tail. And think of that lovely dimmer switch idea of your tummy muscles, so they're not completely off. Even when you're in this position here, you don't relax and switch everything off. There's less effort. And then it gently ramps up to draw you up. So glutes are off. Don't squeeze your bum, tuck your tail under. See if we can just move the spine, lengthening through the lower back to come up. Good job. All the way up. And then come back to that neutral, that start position. And we're going to do a little spiral with the pelvis. So you're going to start by drawing a really small circle with your tail. And then you're going to spiral that circle out until your whole pelvis moves. And then you're going to keep spiraling until your whole back moves. Yeah? And then I'm going to spiral it all the way back in again. So if you imagine you're drawing a circle with your spiral on the wall behind you with your tailbone, That's the feeling you want. And then go the other direction to spiral all the way out. So you've got your cats, you've got your little side bend. Go all the way around, so you can feel that spiral has rippled up your back, and then come back the other way. Rippling it back smaller and smaller. And notice if you could actually see the spiral that you've drawn, is it symmetrical? Let's go back the other way. You've got to really think about where you are in space. Really lovely one to loosen off that lower back. Excuse me. And then wind that all the way back on again. Coming all the way back to neutral. And let's just take a couple of little cats. And just notice if that feels a little better through that very low lumbar spine. Gives you a little bit more movement. So let's arch all the way up, bringing the heels down towards your bottom, or your bottom to your heels even, might be easier. Rolling through forwards, or coming to your version. So to keep the pressure off the knees, you may prefer to just rest forward for a moment. Excuse me, talking too much. And we're going to roll all the way up. Just bring those legs out in front. We're going to come to lala backs. So remember, as we come to lala backs, just throw yourself down to the mat. Work out where you're going to be, and then use your body and those muscle connections to bring yourself down to the floor. If you roll yourself back down with support or without, it's going to bring those ribs into a lovely position. So if you need to, remember you might need to do that little shrug forwards to pull the ribs back behind you to make sure that your ribs aren't too arched up. Make sure the sacrum is nice and level on the mat. And facing forward and relaxing those hips. You drop your head and make it a bit heavier. Can you drop your head to the floor, making it heavier? Can you let those shoulders go? Can you release a little bit of tension from your shoulders, or a little more tension? And let's throw the arms away to the side, so palms up towards the ceiling, so you can feel those shoulders can roll open. Let's come into our pelvic tilt. So breathing in to prepare. Exhale, sigh the breath, and scoop the lower back down towards the floor. Inhaling back. So try not to grab hold and pull in to make it happen. As you breathe out, think of those muscles gently wrapping around to draw your pelvis in towards you. You might like to push into your feet a little to get you going if you're still a little bit tight or uncomfy. And again, remember, use that breath. Breathe out, ribs come down, wrapping through, inhale back. And roll. Inhale back. And as you roll through, so you do that lovely little spiraling release for the lower back. Feels quite good. Find your feet. So let's have a little bit of awareness of those feet. So if you need to stop tilting for a moment, do so. Now, feel all those toes in the mat. Make sure your heels are in line with your seat bones. You can feel where your bum is on the mat now, where your heels are. You can feel the ball of the foot and the toes pressing into the mat. And use your brain to point all your toes away from you. So you've got this lovely idea. You've got your shoulder blades on the back. You've got your breastbone down the middle, you've got your tummy button, your pubic bone, your hip bones, your knees and your heels. Those markers, think of them as a little bit of a grid, yeah? Now, really push those feet down into the floor. I want you to feel like they're pushing them into the mat underneath you. And by finding that, you probably find you've come into a little bit of a tilt through the lumbar spine. So you're going to keep keep that push through, and it's quite hard to really concentrate and keep that push through the floor. So when you're ready, you're going to inhale and you're going to open up the hips and lift up. Keep those feet pushing. I want you to push your feet through the mat into the floor underneath you, opening up the hips. Keep pushing and exhale, roll down, dragging your bum to the back of your heels all the way to the bottom. Release the feet for a second. Push again. And inhale, lift. Exhale, roll down. Keep those feet pushing. You've got to push into those feet, which is going to get you into your glutes, not your hamstrings. And again, inhale up. Exhale, roll down. Now, if your brain and your feet are getting on really well, can you keep the flow going without that break? So you keep pressing. Inhale up, just opening. Exhale, roll down. Drape your spine down the mat. Inhaling up. And all the way down. So can you notice when you're really pushing your feet down into the floor? It might be tricky to do mentally to get your feet to really push. Can you notice how easy it is to get your bum up off the floor though? Yeah? So if you relax those feet and just have them there and lift, you'll feel that your pelvis is heavy. If you really push down into the mat, you're going to feel much lighter. It feels like a lot less effort. But you're really working into your glutes, releasing those hamstrings a little. And getting into that lower back, letting it relax and release and soften. Finding the breath. Now make sure, so when you're really pushing into the feet, you can get a tendency to shunt yourself off your mat. So your head might slide up off your mat. So every time you roll down, you've got to really drape your bottom down towards your heels to stop you moving. Yeah, lovely, that's it. So pubic bone higher than your ribs. So on the way up, can we get a little higher, people? Lifting up, 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 squeeze that bum. That's better. And then you tilt to roll. So you lift up parallel and then you tilt to roll. Push up, push up. Now if you're not quite sure, you can fold your arms in, put them on those hip creases at the front. So as you lift up, straight. You don't want a dent. Some of you aren't quite getting enough in that booty to get your hips flat. And then you roll. Yeah? So you want to almost see if you can try and feel a front of thigh stretch here. Tummy's working so hard, bum's pushing up so hard, feet are pushing down. You can feel a stretch in the front of your thighs. Now let's roll all the way down. So we're going to explore this movement by moving the feet positions, or the foot positioning. So, bring your feet and knees together, so they're touching. And throw the arms away to the side. Now keep those legs squeezing together like your life depended on it. You're going to do the same thing. So you're going to inhale up, open up those hips, keep those knees together. Oh, that's harder, isn't it? Roll down, sequentially rolling. Back to centre, keep those knees together, inhale up, open up those hips, 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 ribs down, hips up, rolling down. Two more. So can you feel that's harder to open the hips? And roll down. And lift up. And roll down. Good. Now keep those feet touching. Take your knees apart, so quite a lot apart. So almost your knees are now almost as wide as your mat, but your feet are still flat on the floor. You've still got the soles of your feet on the floor, so that's going to be your limiting factor. You're going to breathe in, push up, exhale, roll down. Breathe in, push up. Now, I don't know about you, can you feel this is easier to open your hips? So as you push up, the knees are going away, it's easier to get your bum up and open those hip joints than the one before. So you're still lifting, you're still pushing those feet down through the mat, rolling through. Lifting up and rolling through. One more, lifting up and rolling all the way down, staying down. Work your feet out so they are under your knees, so they're going to be quite wide. So this way you need to be in the middle of your mat probably. Make sure your feet are still on your mat, toes still facing forwards, but your feet are probably shoulder width apart, so they're going to be wider than your bum. Yeah? Keep your knees that wide as well, and inhale, lift up. Keep the knees wide. Exhale, roll down. Inhale up. And exhale, roll down. So this one might be slightly harder to get those hips open again. But as you roll down, can you feel it's easier to flex through that lumbar spine? So as you come down, it feels much easier to drape your spine down towards the mat. Releasing. So again, might feel quite different. We're just playing with the movement that you know. And there might be one that you find particularly hard. Rolling all the way down. Let's do one more here. Rolling down, rolling down, rolling down. Good job. Relax the pelvis, walk those feet back in, and let's bring one knee into the chest and the other one in. So hug the knees right into the chest, have a little bit of a roll. And just notice how your lower back feels. And then let's just pop those feet down one by one. So if you have your Pilates ball, you could add this into this next little bit if you wish to. You don't need to. Or a cushion. So we're going to do some hip rolls. So going side to side. So if you wish, you could pop the ball between your knees, or you might want to pop it between your thighs, so slightly higher up. Sort of mid-thigh. You might feel you can get a little bit more squeeze going. Yeah? Now, before we start to move, we've got the feet together. The ball is between the knees or cushion. Place your hands on that pelvic triangle. So you want the heels of the hands on your ASISs, fingertips onto the pubic bone. So poke in, find the bones, and notice that those bones should be level. They should all be parallel. Now, keep the hands there. Can you squeeze the ball? And notice if that moves or changes. It shouldn't do. As you squeeze the ball, you're just using your inner thighs. You shouldn't need to be able to move your pelvis. Shouldn't need to move your pelvis to find that. Does that make sense? So as you squeeze and release, notice as well, are you squeezing the ball equally with both legs? Do you have one leg that's a holder and one that's a pusher? They both need to be pushing. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. So you might have to get your brain to have a little bit of a chat back with itself about that one. And then let's release the ball, just still holding it between the knees, and throw your arms away to the sides. We're going to come into our hip rolls. So remember, with our hip rolls, and also as you lie, probably better for me to say, in this position, can you feel your lower back's off the mat? It should be, yeah? When we do our hip rolls, you don't roll your lower back into the mat, yeah? Let's think about rolling. We don't want to flex and roll, we want to just roll. So, squeeze onto the ball, lift your left hip and your left foot, taking the knees over to the right. Now don't let your upper body positioning change. Roll over your sacrum to the side of the hip, just moving through your waist. Breath in and breathe out. Scoop that tummy and drag those legs back to centre with the knees fighting that ball. Stop in the middle, breath in. Breathing out, lifting the other foot and hip to take the knees over. Squeezing that ball. Keep those shoulders down. And again, exhale, scooping all the way in. Rolling over that bottom. And again, keep going side to side, pausing in the middle. Exhale over. Inhale, hold it still. And exhale, come back. So just have a little bit of awareness as you keep rolling. Do either side or both sides of your waist, are are they staying the same? So they should stay the same side, same length as we twist. We don't want you pulling up into one armpit. So that they should stay the same. We're just twisting through the middle. You're not going far enough that your shoulder blades feel the need to lift off the mat. So you think about that upper rib cage, it's really super heavy. So a little bit more of a challenge for you should you wish to. You can keep going as you are here, or you can bring those legs up. Now if you bring the legs up, don't roll your lumbar spine into the mat. You've got to stay on your sacrum. Feet squeezing together. Now this is where the ball is so helpful, super helpful. Toes slightly higher so you can just see them over your knees. Yeah? Off you go. You're going to lift the hips so the toes go first, followed by the knees. Don't go too far. Breath in and breathe out. Scoot back. Don't roll your lower back into the mat. Breath in and breathe out. Over you go. So again, if this is too much, keep the feet on the floor. Are you breathing? So use the ball to help you. Use the ball to create some challenge. So you're squeezing on the ball, it's going to fire up those inner thighs and that tummy. Try not to use your arms too much. They're just a safety gadget. Good job. You're so much stronger. Come all the way back to centre. Draw your knees in towards your chest and pop the ball out. Give those knees a little bit of a hug. Let's take a little glute stretch. So we're going to take both feet down to the floor. Now put your hands on your waist, on your hips, where your waist and your pelvis join. You're going to float your left leg up, putting the outside, just above your left ankle, onto the front of your right knee. Now keeping your hands on your hips and your pelvis not moving. With your muscles, you're going to push that knee away from you. You've got both hands on your hips and you're pushing the leg away. So you're using your muscles to push it away. Yeah? Can you feel that stretch in the front of your hip? So the leg is now angling itself. You can feel that rotation in the hip. It's going away from you. Try to keep that waist nice and level. Can you feel a stretch in the front of that hip? Maybe the side. Sometimes it's quite deep. It's almost a little bit like what is that sort of stretching into? It's sort of opening up the hip, but also slightly at an angle. Relax and release. Now scoop that tummy, drag that toe that's on the mat towards your bottom, and you'll feel your legs become lighter, and then you can lift your leg up. So keep your hands on your hip, and now using your muscles, push that knee in towards your chest. So I'm not pulling in with my hands, you've got your foot up off the floor, and you're pushing it in. So as though you would have your hands round through your leg. You're doing the same thing but without using your hands. That's it. So you can feel you're having to use that supporting leg to push right in. And it might feel slightly different because we've already got those muscles fired up, might be a slightly different stretch. And then slowly unfurl, bringing the foot down to the floor. Uncross the leg. And place the feet flat on the floor. Just feel if your pelvis feels different or slightly wonky. We feel one side's a little bit more released. So let's float the other leg up. You're placing just above the ankle on the knee. So still got the hands on my pelvis to keep it nice and still. I want to keep both sides of my waist the same. Going to push that knee away. Now with this particular stretch, if you find it really hard to stay symmetrical, should have said this on the other side, sorry, doing a little pelvic tilt might help you have that awareness of where your waist is by spinning your lower back into the floor as you push that knee away. It might help you keep a little bit more symmetry than being in neutral. Ideally we'd like to be in neutral, but a little bit of a tilt might help. You stay level find one side is different to the other. And then relax and release that stretch. So just allowing yourself to come back to neutral, nice and parallel still. Slide that other foot in towards your bottom, coming all the way up and in. Bring the knee in towards your chest. You're really pushing with that leg, not using your arms, noticing if it feels different. And then slowly, slowly unfurling, taking that foot to the floor, uncross and place your feet down to the mat. Just notice how that feels. Hopefully feeling a little wider across the back of the pelvis. So let's take those legs out to long, stretch the arms up and overhead, reach the toes away, maybe point and flex. See if you can get a yawn in, or a yawn or a sigh. Releasing the body a little bit more. And then let's bring those arms back down around by the sides. We're going to bend the knees up. Now we're going to roll up to sit. So actually, if you want your legs long and you can roll up to sit, away you go. If you're not entirely sure whether it'll work, have your knees bent. Exhale, curl forwards and grab a hold of the back of your thighs. Now hold them really tight. Push your feet away from you and really actively push the feet away. And then sigh the breath and use your tummy and your arms to pull yourself up. So push your feet further away from you. Push your feet away, push your feet away, push your feet away, 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 away. Use your tummy, push your feet. Lovely, well done. Nice faces, some of you. There we go. Well done. So sometimes when you've been lying down for a while, it's a little bit different. So it's quite good to challenge yourself in that way. And well done for hanging in there. Nobody gave up. So we're going to practice our rollbacks a little. So if you wish to, have your legs straight, flex your feet. If you're not quite sure, or you want to keep it a little smaller, have those knees bent. Place your hands onto the back of your knees. And you can begin to open up the lumbar spine. So it's not the upper back and the neck, it's the lumbar spine. And then you're going to stay tall as you come all the way forward. So just noticing you roll off your seat bones, onto your sacrum, tummy's pulling right back, all the way up and forwards. My legs are lost in the curtain, aren't they?
That was, isn't it a pity?
But you're getting this work here, so we don't want to just come straight back and hinge from the hips. You've got to wheel your pelvis under. Your SI joints will not like you if you don't. And maybe you can start to make it bigger and bigger. Maybe you wish to go without the hands as your guidance. Just remember, you go to where you can with a little challenge, not to the point where you get stuck and you feel like you can't come back up again. Yeah? So you go all the way back, feel that challenge point because you've got to hold it, and then roll forwards over that strong tummy to bring you all the way back up. Try not to put your shoulders and your ears together like I am. Shoulders down, nice and tall. Roll from your bra strap or your bro strap to your tail and all the way up. So the idea being is that we make this C-curve shape. You keep that same shape in your spine all the way down to the mat, and then you would unfurl it there. So you'd be in your same C-curve shape, it stays the same, it stays the same, all the way to the top. Yeah? Use your breath. Try not to think of sinking your chest. You might have to really mentally sort of have a little bit of a talk to your tummy muscles. So it's those ones just below the belly button, that bit there. They've got to really pull back and up as you go. This is what makes you strong, so you're not in your lower back. Yeah? So you're using that exhale, but you can't rely just on the exhale. Oh, very nice, people. Beautiful, rippling spines. Good breath, breathe. Go back till you feel you're just going to bend back your upper back to lift up to the ceiling. Go really tall, stick your chest up and forwards, pull on your legs if that helps you get there. And then have a lovely little slouch. Have a little bit of a wiggle through. So we're going to come to sit. So we're going to do our mermaid. So if you can, we're going to do our Z sit. So from this, I'll take my legs around to the side. We can have one shin parallel with the front of the mat, and then the other one, the knee sort of tucks in behind the foot. So I've got a little triangle in front of me. If that's a no-go for you, sit just side saddle with the legs out to one side. You can sit cross-legged if you like. Now when you sit like this, if it feels really uncomfortable, again I've only got a little one here, what you can do is you can get a pillow or cushion and put it underneath your butt, and what you'll find is it'll even you up a little bit more. Does that make sense? So if you're sitting on a hard surface, that hip's going to be lifted. If you have a pillow under both buttocks, it's going to help you to sit up straight. Does that make sense? So you can feel you sink into it, but you're going to sink more through one hip feels heavier, doesn't it? So as you come to sit, we want to try and sit up straight. So ideally you've got both seat bones on the mat. So see how that feels. Probably might not be a goer, but this is where we're going to help you find it. So I'm going to take my hand onto my ankle, and the other hand's either going to be on the knee or on the floor, don't mind which. And I'm going to float that hand all the way up to the ceiling. So it's not too close to my head, it's out to the side. And I'm going to shrug the shoulder up and down, and as I do, I'm going to let my ribs follow. See, I'm doing a little rib shunt, so my bum's not moving, but my ribs are. As the arm goes up, my ribs are going with it. I'm getting a nice little side stretch. And my arm is not directly level with my ear, it's a little bit in front. Yeah? So especially I know sitting in this position can be quite uncomfortable. Let's make sure those shoulders are happy. So it's reaching up. Now reach all the way up and bring those ribs back to centre and come all the way down with that arm. Take it up, shrug the ribs, back to centre and down. Yeah? So you're going to go up, slide the ribs, back to centre, come all the way down. Now can you notice, you've been thinking about what your arms are doing, that as you release the arm down, can you feel you're sitting a little bit heavier into both hips? Feel like you've sunk a little bit more. Yeah? Now let's come into our lovely mermaid. So we're going to take the spare hand first. I'm going to reach straight up. And now I'm going to go that way. I'm going to reach up and over. So I've got a lovely stretch through my side body. I'm going diagonally up to the sort of the ceiling on the other side. And then all the way down. I'm going to release the hand next to my hip onto the floor, and I'm going to take the other arm up. So now we're going to do that same thing again. I'm going to lift up, let my ribs shunt, bring it back. Lift up, ribs shunt and back. So this one feels easier to move the ribs, but the hip finds it harder. Yeah? The hip finds it harder because of the angle it's at. Now bring that hand down, notice how you feel sitting, actually sitting a little bit heavier into that one. Let's take that arm up, over, centre, down, going up, over, centre and down, and one more. It's much easier, you've got the hang of this now. Good job. Now let's take our mermaid with this arm. So you're going to come all the way up. Now that arm reaches up, but that sit bone has got to stay on the mat. So as I go over, I'm going to use this hand, I'm going to push into the mat. Can you see I'm rib shifting over that way? To reach diagonally up and over, but I've got to keep those seat bones on the floor, all the way up. Now, let's alternate those arms. So we're going to go up, reach, that way, swoop it back over, hand to the floor, taking the other one up, reach, push into that hand on the floor, stretch, 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 and over. And find your flow going up, but over, and down. And up, push, reach. And one more. All the way over, all the way down, all the way up. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. Good job. Come all the way back. Now place both hands on both knees and just do a little cat. So I'm tucking my tail under and then I'm going to lift the chest up. Tuck under, lift up. So hopefully your pelvis can rock back and then come forward, just because you have space there. All the way up. Good job. Come back to centre. Slowly swing both those legs around in front and give those knees a little bit of a wobble. So you can probably feel your hips feel a bit wonky now. So just give them a little bit of a shake out. And we're going to take them around to the other side. Oh, our favourite side. So you can possibly notice you feel a little bit different. I feel a little bit collapsed on this side. I'm going to pop cushion underneath my butt to help you sit up a little bit more. Yeah? So just notice how it feels. Always different side to side. So we've got those lovely hands. Are we ready? So let's take the hands that's towards your ankle. We're not going to do too many this side because we've already done it on the other side. But you're going to do that lovely reach up and shrug. Reach up. So the ribs are going. Yeah, so we're going into the harder side first. Moving. So don't keep your arms straight. We're not moving the arm, we're moving the body. So keep your arm up. Try and touch the ceiling. Ceiling more, drop away from the ceiling. So the ribs are going that way. So the arm's going straight up, I'm not leaning over. It's going straight up. Can't see it actually, can you? I'll put it by the curtain. There you go. So it's going straight up and down as the ribs move. Let's release that arm down, take the other one up. And as you go up, this side's going to be easier. So we're going straight up. Straight up. And the ribs are following, gliding across. They've got more room to move here. It's much easier. So don't lean over to do it. Sit up straight. Palm towards your ear. So rather than being there, let's get that shoulder blade to move. There we go. And all the way down. Let's come into our lovely mermaid. So let's take this spare hand all the way up. Now reach up and go over. And you just go as far as you can. It might be a lot, it might not be a lot. Think more of the up. And then come all the way down. Hand to the floor. Reaching up. And then push away. So you're going to get that rib shunt to go over. All the way up. Reach. And then here, I'm going to try and keep my shoulder in the same place. So I'm pushing away as I go over. So I'm not over here and not allowing that. I'm saying no. And my hips going, I really don't like you very much at the moment. And you're going to have such free hips, you're going to be taking strides like a racehorse. Your hips will be so swingy. So make sure you're reaching just a tiny touch in front of you, not behind you. I think you all look good actually. You probably notice your knees and your hips are a little bit unhappy. So stretch out and move. Just bring those hands all the way down. Take your hands onto your knees and do that lovely roll back. Feel that lovely stretch out the front of the hip. Lift the chest. Oh, not so happy. Roll back. That's my hip making that noise. All the way forwards. And you probably notice one hip's moving more than the other. Roll back. Very gently move those knees and feet out in front. And give those legs that little bit of a wobble or a shake. Give those knees a little bit of a time to relax and release. Just noticing how they feel. So you can probably feel now that your hips and knees feel quite awake. You might find they feel a little bit achy around the tops of the knees. It's quite stretchy for the knees. But as we come up to stand now, you're going to feel those hips relax and release. So we're going to come up to stand. So let's come to all fours first of all, and just take a couple of little cats. And just notice how your back feels. So from here, take those feet as wide as you need to, yeah? So we've done our squats, we've got our preparations, feet and knees wide. Sit back onto your fingertips, yeah? So if you need to, have your knees wider than your body so that your tummy is between your legs. Does that make sense? So you can be in this position. So you feel a bit, maybe feel a little bit safer. So your bum's sat. You can feel the weight of your bottom is just behind your heels a little. Yeah? And then think about taking your hands forward a little bit. And you're going to send your bum backwards as you come to this position. Yeah? And then you can put your head down and roll up. So there's no, if you're not happy to roll up the front of your body, if you take those feet wide, sit between them, come almost to an all fours point with your bum back, you're very stable to come up. You need your hamstrings, but you're nice and stable. So let's give that one more go. Let's roll down with those feet super wide. You see my feet are wider than my shoulders? You're going to roll all the way down. Bum goes back. Bend the knees. Bring the hands down. Weight on your hands to tip forwards. Knees wide, knees wide, knees wide, knees wide. So you're between your knees. Yeah, so you can sit your bum back, you might have to walk your hands backwards or forwards. So down on the floor. Then you're going to push, heels down, so you're in this crouch position. Yeah? Drop your head, push your bum back and feel the weight, your hands get light. And then at the same time, push into your feet, head down, bottom up. And then you can roll down from a nice safe position. Yeah? Make sense? So even if you feel a little bit, because people do this when they get up and down the floor of the garden, don't they? So what we want to try and get away from is that being too far forward, panicking, and not being able to come up. Does that make sense? So if you use your own body weight, you'll be nice and balanced. You need a little bit of booty to get you up, but that's never a bad thing, is it? So shake out those leggies. Toes facing forwards. Feel that relaxation in the hips now. Can you feel they feel quite nice and wide and open? Press the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Just roll those shoulders up, back and around. Up, back and around. Release through the glutes. And then I'm going to stand on the floor because it's nicer. I'm going to do a little one-legged balance. Actually, I'll come forward. You can see me a little bit more. The feet are hip width apart, really connected into my legs now. Head's pressing up. You're just going to float one heel up. And if you can, bring the leg up. Now I'm going to push that foot into, into my leg. So that leg is pushing into the other one. So I can push this leg into that one. Both legs are pushing into each other. Standing up lovely and tall. So the legs side to side, pushing into each other. Keep your eye line up. Grow taller. Push the floor away, push the head away. There we go, cracked it. Slide that leg down. Take a moment, find your foot, and then glide the other one up. So the legs are in parallel, but they're pushing against each other. Push your head up. Lengthen your torso. Shoulders relaxed. Pushing into the floor. There we go. So pushing both one leg into each other, one leg into the other rather, gives you that stability. Yeah, good job. It's much easier than being here and wobbling about. And slowly slide the leg down. Let's take a forward fold. Bow to me. Notice if those legs feel better. So stick your bum out, lift your chest up, lift your head up, look forwards, look forwards, look forwards, stick your bum out, and then lift from your belly all the way up. One more. Coming all the way down, keep your chest lifted, send your bum backwards and your face forwards. Can you feel that stretch in your shoulders? All the way up. Good job. Now, let's take a lovely side bend. Now you're lovely and released. It's going to feel much nicer than those mermaids, I can guarantee you. Find your feet, stand up tall. Let's take the left arm all the way up, reaching for the ceiling and then over and across. Oh, that feels nicer, doesn't it? All the way back up. And the right arm all the way up. Reaching, 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 reaching through the side body, all the way up. One more. Up and over, so I'm going across the ceiling, all the way back. And the last one. All the way over and back. And release your glutes, shrug those shoulders up to your ears. And release them down. Keep that head pressing the ceiling. Inhale up. Exhale, release. In and up. And exhale, release.